All right, everyone, we are at the final video here. Hopefully you're enjoying this. The 7 deadliest goal-setting mistakes that will absolutely kill your direct sales business. I want to teach you how to avoid them so you can get as much out of this opportunity as you possibly can. And as we end up here with this series, I want to talk to you about something that plagues so many people, and it's perfection. The deadliest goal-setting mistake, number 7. That doesn't mean it's least important on this list, but the deadliest goal-setting mistake, number 7, is being a perfectionist. Now, not just a perfectionist overall in life, but specifically in the direct sales world, perfectionism is even more deadly. Now, let me talk about perfection at a chunked up kind of more general level first. Usually the reason that we're afflicted with perfection is because we have some connection between our value as a person and our performance. And it's just a society programming that most of us have, especially if you've been in sports, you were in any kind of environment where you were rewarded for your performance, could be acting or any of that sort of stuff. What usually happens, a connection that we make very early on is that if we perform well, then we get to feel good and people approve of us. And that is so dangerous, this connection that my performance equals my approval. So what happens then is, since most of us don't feel like we're truly enough on every single level in our lives, we have this fear that we don't measure up. And which means we're not giving ourselves full approval, which then means we want to seek it, from external environments. And when we search for approval, based on what I just said, the way that we think we can get approval is to do better. The higher we perform, the more approval that we get. That's the programming that we have. That's what we're taught from a very early age. So then the thinking is, well, if I can perform at a level of perfection, then I will have an equally high level of approval. But it'll never happen that way, because truly your approval doesn't come from your performance, although it feels like it does, and that's the way that we're usually taught. It's not where it comes from. So you can achieve at whatever level you want. If you don't have that inner sense of satisfaction, if you don't, truly feel fulfilled on a deeper level, if you don't feel like you're good enough, if you don't love yourself unconditional, if you don't accept yourself, then just performing at a high level will not give you that self-acceptance. And even if it does, it will be short-lived, and it's actually dangerous because it's going to be false. It's going to be a false, not expectation, just a false feeling of acceptance. It's going to just be a false positive, basically. But as soon as you stop performing, then your approval goes down again. Right? And in another video I talked about emotional or motivational scar tissue. That's kind of what happens. If you go up really high, you're emotionally really high, and then you drop down with your results and your emotions go with it. Each time you do that, it gets harder and harder and harder to sustain a high level of enthusiasm and true raw inspiration from within. So that's what most people, or why most people rather, are perfectionists, because on a deeper level they're actually seeking approval. So the answer to that is, approve of yourself unconditionally first. Your value as a person doesn't equal, and it's not dependent upon, your value as a performer. And when you can separate those two, you're going to be more free in each of the areas. You're going to be free to enjoy life and to be fulfilled regardless of what level of results you have. And because there's not a connection to your self-esteem and your value, you're going to be more free to perform. When there's a high connection here, then there's also more resistance. Anything that's really important, especially if it's desperately important, creates a lot of resistance. If we have a lot to gain here, we also have a lot to lose. That's what I talked about in the last video, right? So one of the reasons that we procrastinate and we resist even getting an emotion around things is because we're holding on to this as a huge disappointment if we don't achieve perfection. So that's the struggle that most people are going through because they're looking for perfection. So number one, at a chunked up higher level, give yourself permission to be you, right? Understand that the thing that makes you perfect are your imperfections. There is no perfect person on the planet. I know you've heard that time and time again. So we're all imperfect. And that's what makes us perfect, right? And the people that truly care about you, they don't care about your achievements. Now, you might think they do because you always talk about them, and that means they always talk about them, or your upline or the company's always talking about that stuff. But your self-value is your responsibility. It's not somebody else's. So you've got to take that connection away and give yourself permission to be happy and to be fulfilled and to have pride around who you are and what you do, regardless of the level of performance that you kick out on the other end of the machine, right? That's at a higher chunked up level. Now let's talk about your direct sales business. Perfectionism is one of the absolute killers in your business, and the reason is, if you want true leverage in this opportunity, you need duplication. And duplication is not just about teaching people what to say, giving them scripts and giving them systems and say, here, go run and, eat and be merry, right? It's not about just giving them things to do. Duplication has a lot to do with buy-in. In other words, if people can't see themselves doing what they see you doing, they will not duplicate your efforts. Now here's the catch. The more perfect you are, the less people can see themselves in you. Because most people don't think they're perfect. So if you're in front of the room, or if you're at a party and you're giving the best presentation possible, right? You look fantastic. Everything is in order. Your hair's perfect. Your makeup's perfect if you're a woman. You have awesome jokes that just kill, right? And they're so funny and you're so polished. There's no lint on your clothes. The more perfect you are, the more that people are going to go, that person's untouchable. I could never be like them. And that's the kiss of death. When you have somebody say, you're so good, I could never do what you do. You're done. Your business is toast. Because you can't create leverage. You can't inspire people into action if they think they can't do what you do. So you have an obligation to be relatable to people, right? Now, most people are searching for perfection because they think that's what's effective. But the line of effectiveness is much lower than the line of perfection. So you as a leader, your job is to become effective. Anything past that, you actually start losing people. The further away from the line of effective you get, the more people you lose because they can no longer see themselves in you. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got when I was in network marketing is one of our trainers said, don't you ever, ever, ever do a perfect presentation. Don't ever show anybody perfection. I didn't really understand that at the time. I actually thought it was really weird. But now I look back and I say, you know what? That is so true. Now, I'm not saying for you to go out there and be inauthentic. I'm not saying for you to pretend to be stupid, for you to intentionally be a moron or dress like a loser or anything. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying just be you. Most people in their strive for perfection sacrifice authenticity. The more authentic you are, the more real you're going to be. Now here's the cool part. The more real you are, the more rapport you're going to create with your people, the more connection you're going to have, the more they will see themselves in you, and then your actions don't even matter as much. You can mess up, and if they love you, they'll still love you, and you can be perfect, but if they still feel this connection to you, they want to follow the connection that they're feeling in you, not necessarily the perfection that they're seeing in the class or up on stage. So the connection is the most important piece, and the performance is so much less important. I don't even want you to spend all that much energy on it. And I'm not saying it's not important, it is. You got to know what to say. You got to know stuff about your company. You got to understand how to get into intelligent conversations, but it's not what drives the ship. What truly drives the ship is your authenticity, your connection with people, and striving for perfection just kills your connection with other people. It usually takes you away from your authentic self. When you're focused on what they're thinking, or when you're focused on what you're going to say next, when you're focused on not messing up, when you're focused on the perfect close, when you're focused on all that stuff, you won't be connecting with your audience. So that's the most important piece. And then anything you do after that will be well received. Almost anything, I guess. I guess there are some things that you can do after you're in rapport and people can relate to you that'll kind of kill the drill, but almost nothing, at least, right? So that concludes the 7 deadliest goal-setting mistakes for your direct sales business training series. Hopefully you've gotten a lot out of it. Please let me know what you're implementing. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, let me know how I can help. If you have any comments on how this has been helpful and beneficial to you, then please let us know as well. So with that, everybody, I'm going to say goodbye for now. Please stay plugged into our community. We have tons of resources for you to continue to grow your business, come from that place of authenticity, sell more, recruit more, lead better, and just overall enjoy this journey and have a lot of fun. Because that's what this business is supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about stress and pressure and failure and frustration. It's supposed to be about fun and leverage and building and just enjoyment. So hopefully all of these nuggets that I've shared with you in this series is going to help you do exactly that. With that, take care. I wish you all the best until we talk again. Enjoy the journey.